In study after study, money is often cited as one of the top conflict points in a marriage. Finances can be an emotional topic for couples, especially when money is tight. So it pays to get in the habit of discussing it on a regular basis, even if you keep separate finances. At stcumoney.org, find 6 tips for making the conversation easier.
Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business radio talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by STCU. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to the show. This is Ryan McNeese, host of Business Talks, and we're here with Jerry Newell. We'll say she's a recovered attorney because now she is moved on from practicing law on a daily basis and is opening a food concession truck. Tell us about that, Jerry.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me today.
You bet.
Well, I can say that I have been actually in the legal field going on 27 years. I was a paralegal before I went to law school, and I've been a practicing attorney in Spokane for 17 years. It's been a great run, and I've had a great practice. But
have you primarily been in the family law field?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I probably in the last couple of years decided I wanted to do something different, something that would allow me to travel, something that would allow me to go to different festivals and spend more time with my children who have all grown and left the Spokane area.
Yeah, and my understanding they are in some various areas throughout the country. So this would allow you to efficiently get there and maybe get there for a reason.
Exactly.
Obviously a reason of seeing them, but also with your new business.
In fact, my plan is that and it just so I can clarify, it's taken a little bit longer to get the truck built and get it operational than originally expected. So we are getting into the winter season here, and so I will be traveling to Las Vegas in the next month and wintering down in both Las Vegas and Lake Havasu with my food truck.
That makes sense,
yeah.
though. Escape the Northwest winter.
Exactly. And then I'll be back in the Spokane area probably mid-April, early May, and then be parked all over Spokane. I already have some interest in different locations.
Well, I'm sure you're getting a lot of different interest around this area. So is that the intent most years, potentially, to, through the winter, be in warmer climates, but then come back for a fairly substantial amount of time through the spring and summer here in our area?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. That is so interesting. And you mentioned, obviously, it took a little longer than you might have thought in the planning phase or getting the actual truck. You purchased it in Florida, right?
That's correct.
How does one do that? How did you pick Florida? Why Florida?
Well, while I didn't just jump into this endeavor without doing some research.
Right.
So there really weren't any manufacturers of food trucks in the Spokane area unless someone's building it out of their backyard shop. So I really wanted to make sure that mine was done right and properly according to the Department of Labor and Industries and all that. And so I traveled to Florida and met with some various builders and then selected one down in Florida and finally got that ordered.
So did you make several trips down there? It sounds like maybe you made an initial trip.
I only made one trip there to find a builder. And then I took a road trip to Florida to pick it up this past summer.
Well, I remember seeing on social media some different pictures throughout the country that was fascinating, that on your trip back, the different areas you were hitting along the way.
Yeah, and I think that this is also it's sort of a personal growth opportunity for me. I wanted to see some different areas of the country, but it's a transition. It's as you might appreciate, from going from practicing law, where we're very focused on our clients and the issues that are going on a daily basis.
Yeah, court scheduling dates.
Exactly. We have all these timelines to meet and whatnot, and court dates. And so I really wanted to have an opportunity to kind of break away from that and take some time for myself and kind of, I guess, really enjoy the journey that I've been on right in the last year.
Well, I think you're right. I definitely can empathize in terms of the rigors and scheduling issues with court dates, clients, et cetera, and heavy matters. And you, as you indicated, you've been in the family law realm. area of the practice of law for 17 years and actually beyond, but 17 years as an attorney. That's quite a load in terms of the family law area of practice. So makes sense to me, and understand why maybe this transition is important, necessary, timely. Was it a tough decision to make? Do you find yourself that you will be practicing law a portion of your time, or do you see yourself, in a sense, walking away from the practice of law to do this full time?
Well, right now I'm walking away to do this full time, but I am also a mediator. I enjoy doing mediations, and if I'm going to be continuing in any fashion, I think that will be the area that I will focus on while I'm back in the Spokane area. For example, next year, I would be looking to do some mediations and kind of just keep things going that way. But taking on the adversarial cases that are that kind of just really wear you out,
right?
And I think that was part of the decision to kind of do something different. Was having been in the legal field for so many years, I just realized for myself that I really needed to do something for me,
right.
And like I said, this provides me an opportunity to do something new. And I'll be honest, had I not been a lawyer going through this process, I might have stopped along the way, because the rules and the regulations and the licensing for every location, it's pretty daunting.
Right.
And I can see why a lot of people might start down this path and then decide not to
think
continue.
This is too complicated. I don't have the time or the energy to work out the specifics of this.
Exactly. And I think that it certainly helped being a lawyer, being able to understand the requirements and all the steps necessary. And there's not a lot of guidance out there. There's a lot of information, meaning you can do a search and find out that there's a requirement for the Department of L&I, there's a requirement for the Department of Health, there's a requirement for the City of Spokane.
Yeah.
All of these
as
entities.
As you dig deeper and deeper.
They all have these different requirements, but how you piece everything together and in which order do you do everything, I think that at least there's an opportunity there to create a blog or provide some information, which I'm more than happy to do.
I see that as an actual, a real advantage, that you might end up branching off a bit, that taking your prior experience as an attorney, you might, through a blog or otherwise, end up meeting folks locally or on the road that have similar interests. And as an attorney, you might be able to provide counsel to say, hey, here's how I did this, here's how maybe you can do this. That could be really interesting for you.
Well, and really what's been interesting, too, is how many people are, I don't want to say inspired by the fact that I've just taken this leap to
this is huge. This is huge.
Careers. And I guess I didn't think about that so much. I just knew that this was something.
It seemed natural to you.
It seemed very natural to me to do something new, to try something new.
I think specifically in the legal industry, I think almost anyone would have to pause and respect it, in that so much time for yourself and other folks that have gone through law school and the early years of practice and the continuing learning curve, if you will, in the practice of law. And so someone like yourself to be breaking that mold and saying, I've run my own practice, as you're saying, for several years, and instead of doing the traditional go to a big firm, go up the partnership ladder, be a partner, et cetera, the traditional model, if you will, you're breaking that mold. And I think anyone would have to stop and respect that and say, that's interesting, that people are practicing law, creating a good career as you have, but also have outside interests, and you're following those. I respect that.
Well, thank you. I didn't follow that traditional path as
right.
a lawyer. I mean, in my first 2 years practice, I went against what everyone recommended I should do, and I opened up my own office. And it's been very successful with little advertising throughout the years, but it's been great. I've had a pretty good reputation, I think, and lots of referrals from fellow attorneys and other, former clients along the way to keep the business running. So So I'm very blessed in that way, and I don't want to say that I didn't appreciate that, because I do very much. But I do think that it's just time for me to make a change.
Well, I think I've certainly noticed that as you've gone out on this endeavor, I think you've got a lot of positive feedback about what you're doing. I think you've found a lot of support out there that people in all different types of industries have said, go do this, Jerry, go give it a shot, and you're doing just that. So I think you said this coming spring you'll head to Arizona. Have you spent time trying to line up different specific venues or events that you're going to start at this spring down in Arizona?
In Arizona, yeah, I will be at the Hot Air Balloon Festival.
That sounds neat.
And I believe that is mid-January.
And that's in Arizona?
That's
I know there's one in
Lake Havasu.
Okay, there's one in Albuquerque I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a 3-day festival. It's a long day. It's like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Those are pretty daunting hours,
wow.
even for a lawyer.
I was going to say, not that you're not used to those hours, but it'll be different.
It'll be different.
Probably some different stresses. In terms of the hours you're going to put in, will you have folks in the food truck with you that are assisting you, or is this a one-person endeavor?
No, I will have other individuals working for me, and at various events have contract employees or other people. I do have one employee right now that is going to be going on the road with me, help with the driving and whatnot. So,
oh my gosh, you're darn near. It's going to be like a rock star lifestyle. You're going to be traveling from venue to venue.
Yeah.
Which you've done some of that in terms of following some of your favorite bands, I think, as well.
That's true.
You've traveled quite a bit for those. You mentioned bringing in some contractors or contract help when you go to these different venues throughout the country. Will those particular contractors, will you go out and get those folks and advertise for those folks in those given areas, or bring them from Spokane?
I will get them from those areas. I already have made contacts in the Lake Havasu area and in the Las Vegas area. I also am lucky enough to have 2 children that live in Las Vegas.
Some good networking.
So
good
they have, and my daughter works in the food industry. So she's already kind of lining up some people who are anxious to come and work in the food trailer with me. But real quick, I just want to point out that it is called Crack of Dawn, and that even was it's not by accident that we're doing breakfast food, and that's because
it's a great name.
When I've traveled to different festivals in different areas, and needed to or wanted to have breakfast in the morning, and there was nothing available, and that's why I have selected to do the breakfast foods, because I feel like I'm filling a niche that isn't readily available.
I would absolutely agree with that. I was at a recent function down in Los Angeles, and we were going to the venue early in the morning, and I thought about you and Crack of Dawn, and breakfast was not available. So it definitely came to my attention that I think you're definitely filling a niche there. Let's chat a little bit more about that, but let's take a quick break and come right back to Business Talks.
Sounds good.
You're listening to SpokaneTalksOnline.com, Spokane and North Idaho's business and community talk station.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
A special thank you to our friends at Tom Sawyer Country Coffee, the official coffee supplier here at Spokane Talks Online.
What is that you're holding? The Spokesman Review? Is it really even a factor in driving customer traffic anymore?
Yeah, sure is. Here, close your eyes and imagine a few people with $5 bills in their hands standing outside the door of your business.
Okay, I see them. I like it. people with money. What's your point? $5 isn't that much.
I know, but what if there were 300,000 people in front of your door with $5 bills in their hands?
Well, now you got my attention. That's $1.5 million. 300,000 people. Where'd they come from?
Yeah, that's how many different people read the Spokesman Review every week in print, online, or on their mobile.
Wow, that's impressive.
All you got to do is invite them in. Run some ads.
The Spokesman Review has 300,000 readers a week? That's amazing. I had no idea.
Most people don't. That's why we're running this ad. In print and online, the Spokesman Review delivers customers for your business.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and I'm here with Jerry Newell from Crack of Dawn Food Truck. Thank you for coming back, listeners. And what we're going to jump right into, and what our listeners wouldn't be able to see here today, is the branding that goes into starting a business like this. And Jerry, tell us a little bit about, you're wearing your Crack of Dawn hat today, and obviously that's a neat logo. Tell us what goes in to the thinking of creating a brand that's really going to work for you.
Well, the Crack of it, and it's called Crack of Dawn breakfast almost all day long, just because our hours vary throughout the day, and so it was kind of a fun twist on it. But this all kind of started with the branding around the campfire with my kids, and we talked about what the name should be and what it should look like, and my kids sketched out a couple different chicken characters to go along with the breakfast theme, which I still have.
Yeah, that needs to be framed somewhere.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
going to be a good story for a long time.
So that sort of morphed into me really wanting to involve my kids and my extended family, my mom, for example, in this whole business. And so what we did is we created chicken characters for each of the family members, and they have their own names, and they have their own
Yeah, I can only imagine this campfire conversation.
Yeah, so my daughter-in-law, her chicken character is on the front by the window that when people walk up, it's basically her as a chicken, and she's Ashley Oakley, we call her. So we have a menu item named for her. We have a menu item. My mom's buttermilk pancake recipe we use. My mom is one of the chicken characters also on the truck.
But I'm definitely seeing the pattern that you're really taking that family structure, and that theme is running all the way through the business. I mean, whether it be the caricatures or specific logos on the side of the truck, that's also blending in with the menu.
Right. And it's just because for me it's about family too. I want to encourage families to come out. I want to, when we're back here in Spokane, I'd like to encourage families to come out, go on a bike ride and find out where's Crack of Dawn this morning, and let's go as a family and go have breakfast at the trailer, that type of thing. I really want to encourage individual families to do that.
Right, and participate with you.
And yes, exactly.
Essentially, come along on the ride with you. And I know someone like yourself that has such a passion for creating this. I think it sounds like that's what you're really interested in. I think you, from chatting with you, really respect when you're seeing folks doing what they love.
Absolutely.
And that obviously is what you're doing.
Exactly. It is, as they say, or the saying goes, a labor of love, because at this point we're just opening. So from a monetary perspective, we don't know what that's going to be in the future. But it's not about that so much for me as it is about the adventure, and about the experiences and the relationships to be built along the way, and all the people that we're going to meet. And
oh my gosh, I mean, you need to be journaling and diarying. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable, the stories that you run into across the country. And you indicated that you are or have started a blog.
I have not, but I plan to start a blog.
I think you need to do that for sure.
You're not the first one to suggest that.
Yeah. So whether it be a blog or, I think as my 9-year-old son calls it, a vlog, video blog, I would imagine you're utilizing other social media tools as well. Do you use Instagram, Facebook, etc.?
Yes, we're on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook. You can and see where we're going to be.
Is the name Crack of Dawn, or is there more to it on Facebook to find you there?
It's Crack of Dawn breakfast.
Okay.
So, yeah, you should be able to find us there. We are on Instagram and Twitter. I am still learning how to use Instagram and Twitter. I'm not as versed in that, but yeah, the intent is to really have a strong presence on social media.
I think you will, and I think as you identified, one of your goals being here in Spokane, having actually, whether it be here in Spokane or Phoenix, Arizona, or what have you, you indicated that you'd really like to have people truly follow you, like geographically, location to location. Where is Crack of Dawn going to be this morning? And through social media, I know there's a lot of tools out there that people can literally log in the morning and figure out, Crack of Dawn truck is going to be over at the ASU game today, or is going to be down in Tucson.
Exactly.
I'd imagine that's what you're looking to do.
Exactly, and I would imagine, especially when we're in Las Vegas, I know, plenty of people, when it's cold up here, want to go someplace warm. If they're in Las Vegas, they can find out where we're going to be. It would be great to see have somebody come up from Spokane and say, hey, we've been following you. And
what about the WCC tournament? Are you going to be there? Might be a good option.
That might be a good option.
There's certainly
March.
plenty
we
of...
should probably still be there by then.
Yeah, certainly plenty of Spokanites that seem to go down. I think it's almost a reunion down there.
Yes.
So maybe they, again, could look you up and figure out where you're going to be. I know there's been those, I've seen apps similar to that for food trucks on the Hawaiian Islands, where you figure out where the individual food truck is that specific day and follow it.
Right. I wish someday I could transport it over to
I don't think that's
Maui,
a stretch. You absolutely could do that. I think this is just the beginning. I really would want to drill down a little more in the psychology of making this leap. Again, whether it be a lawyer, doctor, plumber, electrician, etc., it's fascinating to me that you've decided to make that leap. I think there's a lot of people that may want to make that leap to a different industry, different business, different calling, different organization, but for whatever reason just decide, nope, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, whether it's providing that life satisfaction to them or not. But I think you're a perfect example of someone that said, you know what, I've had a good run as an attorney, and as you've indicated, you're certainly going to keep doing mediations, which I think is a good idea on your part. But you've made that leap. Tell me more about that psychology. How hard of a decision was that for you to say, I'm somewhat going to leave part of this career behind and move forward?
It wasn't too hard to just make the decision I wanted to do that, but it certainly was and has been a long kind of mental process. There are times when I've had to sit back and be like, what am I feeling right now? And fear, as we all know, is what stops most people from moving forward with anything. And those moments, and I have to allow myself to have those moments, but then recognize that that's just what it is, and that I'm going to be okay. And that I think also I've had so much support, so many people encouraging me, so many people supporting me through this.
Certainly sounds like your family has been supportive,
yes.
whether it be your kids or your mom.
Yeah, and I've had only a handful of naysayers.
Mm-hmm. You're always going to have that.
You're always going to have that. Always a naysayer in my life just works to motivate me more.
Right.
But
oftentimes that naysayer wishes they were doing what you were doing, or had the courage to do what someone like yourself has done.
And I think there's some truth to that. I think that you have to take a lot of that with a grain of salt and wonder if they're a naysayer, where is that really coming from for them? Because a lot of people just don't have a vision for it. I have wondered, because I've toyed with a lot of different thoughts and ideas through the years of doing something else at various times, and I recognize, and so sometimes I've thought, wow, it just keeps popping up in my head. I really want to make this change. I want to do this. You kind of feel that, and then I at times thought, oh, am I going crazy? What's going on with me? But
well, at least you questioned it, right?
Right, I questioned it.
Here's what they say, though. I've heard psychologists say folks that are questioning that aren't crazy.
Right.
It's the ones that don't question it.
I have my oldest son lives in Bozeman, Montana, and he's a contractor. He owns his own business. We're very similar, like-minded, and I recently was over there just a few weeks ago, and he was kind of sharing the same kind of thing with me. He owns basically two businesses because in the winter, when he's not contracting, he's snow plowing, so he owns a second business. He's always thinking about how he can better himself, how he can better his business, what other businesses he might want to be into, and he kind of brought up that same thought process of, gee, am I just nuts? And I looked at him, I said, no. I said, the thing is there are certain individuals that just have an entrepreneurial mind. And I feel that. I feel that I do, and I feel that I...
and you're drawn to that.
And I'm drawn to that, and this isn't the only... I don't see this as, I'm going to do this perhaps till I retire, but this will be one of several things that I may do before I retire. And I also, I shared that with him and assured him that he was on the right path and he was going to be just fine.
And I think as you're describing that, what comes to mind is this path you're on probably will lead to some other opportunities that continue to be satisfying to you, and who knows what those could be. But I think that's part of that entrepreneurial spirit, is who knows what's right around the corner. Well,
and I can share with you that I was just down in Las Vegas meeting with the health department, and one of the requirements is you're supposed to have a commissary commissary agreement, a place where you prep your food right before you go out on the road. I went around to a couple of these commissaries, and some of them are quite costly. And what I recognized while I was there is some of them you wouldn't want to prepare your family's food in. They were pretty disgusting, and I was surprised that this is what the health department was requiring. But I definitely saw there was an opportunity here to perhaps open up my own commissary and then rent the space out to other food truck owners. And that's a very real...
Would it be safe to say that's almost an incubator type mentality, that you're providing the place where other folks like yourself, starting out in the food truck concession business, can go there as their base? Yeah, so they would go there, store their food, freeze their food, or dry food. They would prep their food, whatever their needs might be, whether they're a food truck or maybe they're a mom who's baking cookies for a group or something and wants to rent out the space. So it's that type of thing, and I just think that there's an opportunity there to do it better. Well, Jerry, I really appreciate you being here. It's Crack of Dawn. They can find you on Facebook under Crack of Dawn Breakfast, Instagram. And I'm guessing that our listeners will have an opportunity to follow you on social media and see where you go. Thank you for being here, Jerry.
Thank you, Ryan.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.
In study after study, money is often cited as one of the top conflict points in a marriage. Finances can be an emotional topic for couples, especially when money is tight. So it pays to get in the habit of discussing it on a regular basis, even if you keep separate finances. At stcumoney.org, find 6 tips for making the conversation easier. Conversation easier. Conversation easier. Conversation easier.